What if I told you there's a story Africa is hiding in plain sight, one that Washington and London would rather you never hear? The name at the center of it all? Edgar Lungu. Why are world leaders silent about him? What secret links tie his family to international power struggles? From Zambia's hidden corridors of power to the boardrooms of London and Washington, this is more than politics. It's about money, influence, and control. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear will change the way you see Africa's role in the world forever. In this documentary-style investigation, we uncover the Lungu Enigma, a political mystery connecting Zambia's former president Edgar Lungu and his family to silent power games in Washington and London. Why are world leaders refusing to speak about him? What hidden truths are being kept away from the public eye? And how does Lungu's legacy still shape Africa's political and economic future today? This is not just a Zambian story. This is a global story about influence, corruption, and the secrets world leaders don't want you to know. Subscribe for more Africa-focused documentaries and global power analyses. Inspire Africa Official. The story of Edgar Lungu, Zambia's former president from 2015 to 2021, is often framed in whispers of intrigue, power, and global connections. His presidency, marked by economic challenges, political controversies, and international scrutiny, has left a lasting impact on Zambia's trajectory. The phrases you provided, the silent story of Lungu, why Washington and London stay quiet, the secret role of the Lungu family, Zambia's global connection, and what this means for Africa's future, suggest a narrative that intertwines domestic governance with international geopolitics, financial scandals, and the broader African context. This analysis aims to unpack these themes, critically examining the available evidence, debunking sensational claims where necessary, and offering insights into Zambia's role in global affairs and its implications for Africa's future. Edgar Lungu's tenure as president was a pivotal period in Zambia's modern history. Rising to power after the death of President Michael Sata, Lungu inherited a nation rich in natural resources but plagued by economic mismanagement, debt, and political polarization. His administration faced accusations of authoritarianism, corruption, and economic mismanagement, yet Lungu maintained significant domestic support, particularly among certain ethnic and regional groups. After leaving office in 2021, following his defeat by Hakainde Hichilema, Lungu's legacy continues to spark debate, fueled by allegations of secret plans, offshore wealth, and international influence. This document explores these claims, situates them within Zambia's socio-political context, and evaluates their broader implications. The silent story of Lungu. Background and rise to power. Edgar Chagwa Lungu was born on November 11, 1956, in Ndola, Zambia. A lawyer by training, he entered politics as a member of the Patriotic Front (PF), founded by Michael Sata. Lungu's political ascent was rapid, but not without controversy. After Sata's death in 2014, Lungu emerged as the PF's candidate in a tightly contested leadership race, winning the presidency in a special election in 2015 and securing a full term in 2016. His presidency was characterized by efforts to consolidate power, expand infrastructure, and navigate Zambia's complex economic landscape, heavily reliant on copper exports. The silent story of Lungu refers to the less visible aspects of his political career and post-presidency activities, which have been overshadowed by sensational headlines. This narrative includes his behind-the-scenes influence, alleged financial dealings, and the role of his family in maintaining political relevance. Unlike high-profile African leaders who dominate global media, Lungu's story is silent because it lacks the overt drama of coups or revolutions, but carries significant weight in Zambia's political and economic spheres. This section explores the key elements of this narrative, including his governance style, controversies, and post-presidency activities. Governance and controversies. Lungu's presidency was marked by ambitious infrastructure projects such as road construction and energy development, funded largely through Chinese loans. However, these initiatives contributed to Zambia's ballooning debt, which reached $12 billion by 2021, making it the first African nation to default on its Eurobond debt during the COVID-19 pandemic. Critics accused Lungu of mismanaging the economy, prioritizing political loyalty over competence, and stifling dissent through media crackdowns and arrests of opposition figures. One of the most significant controversies was the 2016 election, widely criticized for irregularities. The opposition, led by Hakainde Hichilema of the United Party for National Development (UPND), alleged voter fraud and intimidation. Lungu's government also faced accusations of undermining democratic institutions, including attempts to amend the constitution to allow a third term, a move that sparked protests. The Constitutional Court's ruling against this attempt in 2018 was a significant blow to Lungu's ambitions, but did not end his influence. Post-presidency and alleged Plan B. After losing the 2021 election to Hichilema, Lungu retired from active politics but remained a polarizing figure. Allegations of a Plan B to maintain influence over Zambia's politics emerged, as reported in a YouTube video titled "Revealed: Lungu's Secret Plan B to Control Zambia's Future." Leaked documents stun the world. The video claims that leaked documents reveal a strategy involving Lungu's aides to control government decisions post-tenure, with connections stretching from Lusaka to London and Washington, D.C. However, these claims lack verifiable evidence, as the documents are are not publicly available, and the video relies on speculative narrative rather than concrete proof. The silent aspect of Lungu's story lies in his ability to maintain influence through proxies and networks, even after leaving office. Reports suggest that Lungu's Patriotic Front continues to wield influence in certain regions, particularly in the Copperbelt and northern provinces, where ethnic loyalties play a significant role. His public statements, often critical of Hichilema's government, keep him relevant in Zambia's polarized political landscape. The lack of transparency around his activities fuels speculation about his intentions, contributing to the silent story narrative. Death and repatriation controversy. Lungu's death on June 5, 2025, in South Africa, where he was receiving medical treatment, added another layer to his silent story. A South African court's ruling that his body must be repatriated to Zambia against his family's wishes sparked controversy. This decision highlighted tensions between national interests and personal preferences, with some speculating that it was a move to ensure a state funeral that would reinforce Lungu's legacy in Zambia. The repatriation issue underscores the complex interplay between Lungu's legacy and Zambia's national identity, a theme explored further in later sections. Why Washington and London stay quiet. Geopolitical context. The phrase, "Why Washington and London stay quiet," suggests that Western powers, particularly the United States and the United Kingdom, have maintained a low profile regarding Lungu's controversies and Zambia's political dynamics. This silence can be attributed to several factors, including Zambia's strategic importance, diplomatic priorities, and the complexities of engaging with African nations in a post-colonial context. Zambia is a key player in southern Africa due to its copper reserves, which account for over 70% of its export revenue. The US and UK have economic interests in Zambia's mining sector, with American and British companies involved in copper and cobalt extraction. Additionally, Zambia's participation in the Lobito Corridor, a transport route linking Zambia to the Atlantic Ocean via Angola, enhances its logistical importance for global trade. Disrupting relations with Zambia over political controversies could jeopardize these economic interests. Diplomatic restraint. Washington and London's silence may also reflect a broader diplomatic strategy of non-interference in African domestic politics, especially in stable democracies like Zambia. Unlike countries experiencing overt conflict or coups, Zambia has maintained relative stability, with peaceful transitions of power since 1991. Western powers may avoid public criticism of Lungu to preserve diplomatic relations with both the current Hichilema administration and potential future PF governments. The US has historically cooperated with Zambia on regional issues, such as conflicts in Zimbabwe, Angola, and Namibia, as noted during Kenneth Kanda's presidency. This cooperation continues under Hichilema, who has positioned Zambia as a reliable partner in international forums like the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, headquartered in Lusaka. Publicly addressing Lungu's alleged scandals could complicate these partnerships. Alleged offshore connections. The YouTube video on Lungu's Plan B suggests international connections to the UK and US, implying that Western authorities are quietly watching due to concerns over financial dealings. Another video, Offshore Millions Exposed, Lungu at the center of global corruption scandal, alleges that Lungu is linked to hidden bank accounts in Switzerland and shell companies in Dubai and London. These claims, while sensational, lack substantiation from credible sources. Western governments may remain silent because there is insufficient evidence to warrant public action, or because pursuing such allegations could strain relations with Zambia. The UK, as Zambia's former colonial power, has a complex relationship with the country. Historical ties, including Britain's role in forming Northern Rhodesia, Zambia's colonial predecessor, create a delicate balance in addressing contemporary issues. Similarly, the US provides significant aid to Zambia, $500 million annually, one of the largest per capita amounts globally. This aid, often tied to development and health programs, may discourage overt criticism of Lungu to avoid alienating his supporters or destabilizing bilateral relations. Media silence and self-censorship. Zambian journalists practice limited self-censorship due to social and family connections, as well as aspirations to work in public sector media. This dynamic may extend to international media, where Western outlets avoid deep dives into Lungu's controversies to maintain access to Zambian officials or protect business interests. The lack of robust investigative journalism on Lungu's alleged offshore dealings contributes to the silence from Washington and London. The secret role of the Lungu family. Family influence in Zambian politics. The Lungu family's role in Zambian politics is a critical yet underexplored aspect of Edgar Lungu's legacy. In many African nations, political dynasties play a significant role, with family members acting as power brokers, financial managers, or public faces of a leader's agenda. While less prominent than dynasties like Kenya's Kenyatta or Odinga families, the Lungu family has been implicated in maintaining Edgar Lungu's influence post-presidency. Esther Lungu, the former First Lady, has been a visible figure, often accompanying Edgar Lungu at public events. Her role, however, extends beyond ceremonial duties. Reports suggest she managed significant financial assets, though no concrete evidence supports claims of offshore accounts. The Lungu family's alleged involvement in Plan B includes leveraging social social and political networks to sustain influence, particularly in PF strongholds. Repatriation controversy and family dynamics. The controversy over Edgar Lungu's repatriation after his death in South Africa highlights the family's complex role. The family's reported desire to bury Lungu in South Africa, possibly to avoid political exploitation of his funeral, clashed with the Zambian government's insistence on a state burial. This dispute underscores the family's attempt to control Lungu's legacy, juxtaposed against national interests that view him as a former head of state. Alleged financial networks. The YouTube video on offshore accounts claims that the Lungu family is linked to a global financial web, including shell companies in Dubai and London. These allegations suggest that family members facilitated the movement of funds meant for Zambia's development. However, without verified documents, such claims remain speculative. The family's role in financial dealings, if true, would align with patterns observed in other African political dynasties, where relatives manage wealth to insulate leaders from scrutiny. Social and political capital. The Lungu family's influence extends to social and ethnic networks, particularly among the Lungu and related ethnic groups in northern Zambia. These networks provide a base of support that sustains the PF's relevance even after Lungu's electoral defeat. The family's ability to mobilize these groups contributes to the secret nature of their role, as it operates outside formal political structures. Zambia's global connection. Economic ties and natural resources. Zambia's global connections are rooted in its economic profile, particularly its copper industry. As one of the world's top copper producers, Zambia is integral to global supply chains for electronics, construction, and renewable energy technologies. Foreign companies from the US, UK, Canada, and China dominate the mining sector, with Chinese firms like China Non-Ferrous Metal Mining Group playing a significant role. These economic ties shape Zambia's international relations, making it a focal point for global powers. The Lobito Corridor, connecting Zambia to Angola's Atlantic coast, enhances its logistical importance. This infrastructure project, supported by Western and African partners, positions Zambia as a hub for regional trade, reducing dependence on South African ports. The corridor's success could strengthen Zambia's global economic connections, but it also exposes the country to geopolitical rivalries, particularly between the US and China. Historical and diplomatic ties. Zambia's history as a British colony, Northern Rhodesia until 1964, shapes its ties with the UK. The presence of British firms in the mining sector and cultural exchanges, such as English as an official language, maintain this connection. The US, meanwhile, has been a key partner in development aid, providing $500 million annually for health, education, and governance programs. These ties create a delicate balance as Zambia navigates relations with both Western powers and emerging players like China. Lungu's alleged international links. The Plan B allegations suggest that Lungu cultivated connections with London and Washington, D.C., possibly through financial networks or political alliances. While speculative, these claims align with Zambia's broader integration into global politics. Lungu's administration maintained cordial relations with Western capitals, despite criticisms of democratic backsliding. His attendance at regional summits, such as one in Zimbabwe, alongside Mozambican President Felipe Nyusi and former Zambian President Kenneth Kaunda, underscores Zambia's diplomatic role. Regional influence. Zambia's location at the crossroads of Central, Southern, and East Africa makes it a regional linchpin. Hosting COMESA's headquarters in Lusaka enhances its influence in trade and economic policy. Lungu's presidency saw Zambia deepen ties with neighbors like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, and Malawi, often mediating regional disputes. These connections amplify Zambia's global relevance as regional stability affects broader African and international interests. What this means for Africa's future. Political stability and democratic transitions. Zambia's experience under Lungu and the subsequent transition to Hichilema offer lessons for Africa's democratic future. The peaceful transfer of power in 2021, despite tensions, reinforces Zambia's reputation as a stable democracy. However, Lungu's alleged attempts to maintain influence post-tenure highlight the challenges of consolidating democratic gains. Across Africa, former leaders often seek to retain power through proxies or constitutional manipulation, as seen in cases like Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe or Uganda's Yoweri Museveni. Economic challenges and debt. Zambia's debt crisis, exacerbated during Lungu's tenure, reflects a broader African challenge. Many countries, including Kenya and Ghana, face similar debt burdens, often tied to Chinese loans for infrastructure. Zambia's default on its Eurobond in 2020 was a wake-up call, prompting negotiations with the IMF and creditors. The outcome of these negotiations will influence Africa's approach to debt management, potentially setting a precedent for restructuring agreements. Resource nationalism and global competition. Zambia's copper wealth positions it at the center of global competition for critical minerals. As the world transitions to renewable energy, demand for copper and cobalt will grow, intensifying scrutiny of Zambia's governance. Lungu's alleged offshore dealings, if substantiated, could fuel calls for resource nationalism, where African nations seek greater control over their minerals. This trend trend, evident in countries like the DRC and Zimbabwe, could reshape Africa's economic relations with global powers. Corruption and governance. The allegations against Lungu underscore the pervasive issue of corruption in African politics. While unproven, the claims of offshore accounts and secret plans resonate with public frustration over elite capture of resources. Addressing corruption will be critical for Africa's future, as it undermines development and fuels inequality. Zambia's efforts to recover stolen assets, as pursued by Hichilema's government, could serve as a model for other nations. Regional integration. Zambia's role in Camisa and the Lobito Corridor highlights the importance of regional integration for Africa's future. Collaborative infrastructure projects and trade agreements can boost economic growth, but they require political stability and transparent governance. Lungu's legacy, marked by both infrastructure development and debt, illustrates the delicate balance African nations must strike. Final analysis and shocking truth. Critical evaluation of allegations. The shocking truth surrounding Lungu's story lies not in sensational claims of secret plans or offshore millions, but in the systemic challenges they reveal. The YouTube video's allegations of Plan B and offshore accounts lack verifiable evidence, relying on narrative-driven speculation. The absence of leaked documents in the public domain and the use of AI-generated content in these videos raise questions about their credibility. However, these claims tap into real concerns about corruption, elite influence, and foreign interference in African politics. The true shock is the persistence of these issues across Africa. Lungu's presidency, while controversial, was not an anomaly. Economic mismanagement, debt accumulation, and political polarization are common challenges from Nigeria to South Africa. The silence of Washington and London reflects a pragmatic approach to maintaining influence in resource-rich nations, even at the cost of overlooking governance flaws. Implications for Zambia and Africa. Zambia's trajectory under Hichilema suggests a pivot toward economic reform and democratic consolidation. Debt restructuring, anti-corruption measures, and regional cooperation are priorities, but Lungu's lingering influence through the PF could complicate these efforts. For Africa, Zambia's experience underscores the need for transparent governance, equitable resource management, and robust democratic institutions to secure a prosperous future. The Lungu family's role, while overstated in some narratives, highlights the importance of dismantling political dynasties to prevent elite capture. Zambia's global connections, from copper exports to the Lobito Corridor, position it as a test case for balancing foreign investment with national sovereignty. The silent story of Lungu is ultimately a call to address these systemic issues, ensuring that Africa's future is shaped by its people, not hidden agendas. Conclusion. Edgar Lungu's legacy is a complex tapestry of governance, controversy, and global connections. The silent story reflects the understated yet profound impact of his presidency on Zambia and beyond. Washington and London's silence is a strategic choice, driven by economic and diplomatic priorities. The Lungu family's role, while not as secretive as alleged, underscores the challenges of political dynasties. Zambia's global connections highlight its strategic importance, while the broader implications for Africa emphasize the need for governance reform and economic resilience. The shocking truth is not a single revelation, but the ongoing struggle to build a transparent, equitable future for Zambia and the continent.